Hi everyone. Such a crowd place. My name is MiA, and today I'm gonna tell you guys about when the numbers don't tell the whole story. So has anyone here noticed that when you go to restaurant, we always get served a free breakfast? Has anyone raise your hand if you ever noticed that? Well, quite a few. So firstly, let me explain about the reason why I got curious about this first. So when I was young, I wasn't observant. I wasn't curious, and I didn't really pay attention to things around me. There were even times when I traveled for a long time, and when I came back, I couldn't even remember the name of places, foods, or specialty pills. But then one day, I read an article that said, smart kids are often curious and ask a lot of questions. And this article has almost changed my life because I start to do this habit. So one day, when I go to restaurant with my parents as normal, I realized that we always get served a free breakfast for free. And I got curious. So my mom told me is that maybe because bread is cheap, so it could be the free gift for customers. My dad told me maybe because eating bread will help the waiting time feel shorter. Well, pretty makes sense, right? But what I'm really curious in here is that how the restaurant make money. How can they earn profit from that? Because if we're getting full by eating bread, how can we order more food? And this thought stuck in my mind and pushed me to search for an answer. And that's when I looked it up online. And the answer was blown up my mind because it was the opposite with what I thought before. Eat bread actually makes you to feel hungrier and tends to eat more. So let me explain a little bit about this. The carb in the bread will quickly absorb into your bloodstream as the glucose and then raise your blood sugar. And when your blood sugar rises, our body releases insulin as a natural response to balance the blood sugar. And this insulin will help you to feel hungrier and tend to eat more to restore the energy that we've just lost. According to research by American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, also help and prove us that a food with high GI index will tend to make humans feel hungrier and tend to eat more. Well, definitely that different foods can trigger a different blood sugar response. So it's also depend on what kind of food you have, what kind of bread you have. But it was actually the big wow to me when I was young. This is the first time someone can answer me in a very persuasive and logical way. And through research, I know that this knowledge comes from nutrition science and physiology. And the big boss behind all of this, it's science. So science, this is the first time I truly encountered and approached science, not from textbook from school, but everyday situation. Now, when I talk about science, a lot of people react like, oh, science is so boring. Science is hard to understand. Oh, yeah, I will admit it's pretty hard. A lot of text, a lot of number, a lot of pages, right? But actually, science is very practical, especially in education. And we all know that education applied into our life. And let me show you guys an example of how to apply science into my daily life. Okay, so firstly, I will give you guys two pictures, okay? And I give you 3 seconds to look at it. And tell me which one do you make you to feel positive, more positive, and feel better. Okay, so this is the first one. You got 3 seconds to look at this. Imagine this is your living space. 3, 2, 1. Okay, the next one. You have 3 seconds again. 3, 2, 1. Okay, then now raise your hand if you pick the black one. Ask the room to make your mood being better and more positive. Quite a few. Okay, so how about this one? More, yeah, like a little bit more. So we can see the key factors in here, it's color. So science, especially the color psychology, has proved that color has some impact on our human emotions and human behavior. Especially the bright color like red, yellow, orange, will bring the optimism, positive, and happy feeling for us. Different color will have its own meaning, but it's also depend on different culture and regions too. And if anyone's asking me or debate me, color isn't that important. So please ask yourself, why Coca-Cola is red? Why Starbucks is green? And why Facebook is blue? Color does not only represent for the brand's mission or orientation, but it also represents for the personality that impacts on how our customers look at us. So what's the color of my outfit today? Red, right? Red. So what I want to say here is that not just your bedroom, but also your clothes, your workspace, and your environment. This is a picture of workspace in Google, a very big company. Maybe everyone in here know. They use the mixture of a lot of bright color. And according to research of JVISA and Digital Study in 2021, it proves that the mixture of bright color will evoke our creativity. And maybe that's the reason why people chose it. So now, science has never let me down. Science never disappointed me. It always gave me the most logical and persuasive way answers. And realizing my love for science is so strong, I start to looking for some philosophy that can share my theme, my worldview, and that's when I found scientism. So scientism, briefly, have anyone here know scientism? Have anyone? Not really much. Okay, so scientism briefly is the belief that science is the best. It's the only way to solve every problem of our life. Scientism has two types. The first one is epistemological scientism, to believe that science is the only way to get knowledge and all the non-scientific research are unreliable. The second type is methodological scientism, which means that scientific research should be applied for every aspect of our life, including philosophy, including art, including ethics. Bringing all of this information, I think that science is pretty confident, right? Solving everything, really? The curiosity led me to science, but it also led me to question science. Does scientism has any limitations? Maybe we should solve this problem together. Now, I want you guys to listen to this sound carefully and tell me, how do you guys feel about that later, okay? Raise your hand if you think this sounded happy. Not very much. Raise your hand if you think this sound is sad. Okay, sound. Raise your hand if you think this sound is scary. I think it's scary. Okay, a lot more. Another test. Listen again to this audio carefully and tell me, how do you feel about that later?
What do we think?
Raise your hand if you think the sound is happy. Oh, a lot more. Okay, raise your hand if you think the sound is sad. Oh, not very much. Okay, let me tell you something. These music are generated by AI. How did I do that? I started to do some small experiment because I realized that science can explain a lot about how music impacts on our brain, our emotions, our behavior. But how about our personal feelings? How about our individual experiences? So I picked happy song as my main category in this experiment that I researched on the internet, and I found out science told me happy music will usually have a tempo of 130 to 150 BPM. And from there, I generate a prompt in ChatGPT. I told them generate a happy sound with a tempo of 140 to 150 BPM. That's the research that I just done. So you can see a pretty long code in here. Actually, I don't really understand. I just click the copy word. And then after that, I paste into Colab. Oh. Okay, let me see. Is there something with the technical one? But basically, I paste into Colab, another AI website, to run the code. And the reason is the first data you guys were just heard. But we all see that the music and the sound generated by AI does, it's pretty simple. It has just have some instrument in there and not complex enough. And that's when I found another website called the AI Music Generator. I record this video about the process when I generate music. Maybe the video is not played. Okay, thank you. So I record this to prove to you guys I didn't lie to you guys. This is the process how I generate the music. So firstly, I type in the style of music in here is happy. A very powerful works, right? Maybe happiest is not. Title test for TEDxHANU, yeah, the conference today. And I clicked into the generate one, and I got result after for a moment. I stick it. And the song is the second sound of you guys were just heard. Yeah, that's right. That's the second sound. So pretty strange, right? Because I gave an exact prompt and ChatGPT and Colab and even this website, but we still have another kind of feeling. Even though AI told us this music is happy, listen to it. But I don't really think so. The music can also evoke another kind of feeling among us. Some people feel happy, some people feel sad, some people feel neutral, some people feel scary, some people feel some kind of feeling, and maybe we do not have a name for it. So it's just a hint for us to see that maybe science cannot explain fully and predict fully about our personal feeling. And if anyone told me that AI doesn't represent for the whole science, well, let's see. We are not the same as our parents, right? We are not exactly the same as our parents, but we inherit the traits and the qualities from them. So if anyone told me that AI isn't that accurate, maybe we should ask ourselves that whether science is 100% true or just relatively so. And I think another limitation of scientism is also proof on the way and against another field. So we all know that scientism, it's materialism. Materialism means that material things core the foundation that do not rely or depend on perception. But we also have another ideology, which called idealism. So idealism is the consciousness, it's the thoughts, it's the spirit that shapes the nature of reality. And personally, I respect both ideologies, but I'm curious, how the viewpoint of materialists look like? And from the definition, from the words, were not enough for me. And that's when I found a painting called The Stonebreakers. This is a painting called The Stonebreakers. This painting was painted by Gusty Corbett in 1849. So let's talk a little bit about Gusty. This artist, he was actually pioneering in realism. Let me explain a little about this. Cheers. Even though realism and materialism have some certain differences, but it all share the same focus on material things, physical things, and visible things. And otherwise, Gusty also claimed with the public that he classified realism under materialism. So look at the painting. We can see that it mostly focuses on the poor life of the poor worker, two figure brick stones on the road, and the artist used the simple color to capture every moment and every details of it through maybe the warm clothes, maybe the rock stones, right? And from there, portray the reality of the working class people. In other words, these paintings are mostly use reality. They ignore all the emotions and inner feelings. So how about the paintings that use mostly emotions? Okay, raise your hand if you know Starry Night. Okay, a lot of people know Starry Night. Great. So Starry Night was painted by Vincent van Gogh in 1889, in a period of pretty same to the previous one. We can see that the pictures in here is the bright blue and the bright color mixed up, bright green, bright yellow, mixed together, that do not really reflect the real life, but instead the artist's emotions. The tall cypress tree in the front connect the earth to the sky and make the audience feel like we are dreaming. In all, this painting is mostly emotions, to focus mostly on how our soul feels, rather than through this painting. Maybe we could see that whether it would be better if we can combine these two ideologies, which are materialism and idealism. Maybe we should answer this through the next experiment. I have another experiment in here called the reinforcement and punishment from B.S. Skinner. He is an American psychologist that known for his behaviorism. He believed that all human behavior could be predicted fully by something called material. His research method is a little bit leans toward materialism, as he always focused on material things, visible and external factors. So through the picture, we can see that when the dog does right things, it will have reward to encourage the positive behavior. But in the opposite way, if the dog does wrong things, it will get punished to limit and reduce the bad behavior. Personally, I think the reinforcement pretty worked for me. Imagine your boss gives you more money because you work well as a reward. Everyone love it, right? But how about punishment? What if we get punished too many times? Another experiment by a modern psychologist called Martin Seligman. He's actually the father of positive psychology. He has a totally different research method from the previous one. He focused mostly on the invisible things, the internal things, the inner feeling, which are things that we cannot see by our eyes. Could be a little bit lean toward into idealism. And his study showed that when people feel like they can no longer control the situation, people will tend to give up. So back to the previous experiment, am I gonna be reduce a mistake, or am I gonna better my performance, or am I gonna give up like this one? There's no specific data or evidence showing which experiment against another, but it'll be better if we can see that the way we combine these two experiments gave us a more comprehensive view on a more complicated situation. And science has always been the humanity's greatest achievement. But as the slogan of today, as the capture the beauty of death, maybe it'll be better if we can take an objective view from multiple perspectives so that we can have the smartest observation for ourselves. And thank you for listening.